Good morning, good night, good evening, my loyal subscribers, and today we are reviewing West Virginia 44 that just came into the game for the Independence Day sale. Now I put a post on my YouTube page and asked if you guys want me to pick this up, and well, there wasn't as much, participation as I would have liked, but the vast majority of you said that those that did vote said you wanted to see the ship. With probably like one saying wait. So I decided to pick the ship up. So economic boost time, 5% to credit, 55 to ship XP, 65 to commander XP, and then 100 to the clan. Armor wise, it's interesting. 26mm bow, 26mm side, 26mm deck, 31mm auxiliary armor plating, and then a 26mm aft plating, or aft end. And then you look at a 34mm or 35mm torpedo protection that goes all the way up her hull. Again, like those that are not familiar with West Virginia know that she was sunk at Pearl Harbor, brought back to the U.S., and then modernized. This is why she was modernized. And the reason we see it go above this is because by this time that she would have been modernized, the U.S. Navy would have learned that the Japanese torpedoes, the Type 95s, were extremely lethal to their ships. That's why she has such a high, torpedo protection. That mimics what lessons would have been learned. But you just see that it has a weird armor scheme. It goes from 31 on the back turrets to 36 to 26 on the front. It's an odd plating scheme, that's for sure. There's no doubt about it. But if we pull aside her torpedo protection and take off some of this armor, we'll bring up a full panel side. You can look and see that, yes, there is a slight, gap in the armor-ish, but you see that it is built to sustain a lot of hits, because that armor acts as extra armor for your ship. So HE can break on that. If you angle just enough, you can potentially bounce shells. So, but don't overly rely on it. You're still squishy. Top tier, you're going to be a monster. Bottom tier, you're going to struggle. That's just a given. And the way this ship plays, it's more of a brawler than it is a long-range ship. Now, and that comes into effect in the guns, and we'll get into that. Hit points, 59,100, 37% torpedo reduction, very decent. She can take a couple torps. She won't take a lot. If anything, from what I've seen, she can take torps, but you can't take shells that well. Artillery-wise, 30-second reload, minimum 12-second switch time, minimum 36-second 180. Dispersion, 231, max range, 17.1, rounded 17 kilometers. You don't want to put the artillery plotting room because of what the guns do. So you want to keep it at that 17 kilometers. Anything longer than, if you put that artillery plotting room, you're going to lose a lot of performance in the ship, significantly. HE damage, 5,700, 36% of fire, 68mm armor pin, 803 for velocity, and then the AP is 12,400 with a 768 velocity. So that sounds pretty good, right? Then we go to Colorado, we look at it. Okay, it's like the same. But there is this key difference that isn't in here. OverlordBou and LittleWhiteMouse have done their reviews on it. Both have done really good. OverlordBou mentioned a drag coefficient. LittleWhiteMouse goes in even further detail. Again, they both do a phenomenal job in their replays. I love watching OverlordBou. He is probably one of my favorite one, because I think he's more in touch with the community from what I've noticed. But they both mentioned a drag coefficient. And what that basically means, and I'll sum it down to you. The farther you're away from the target, the worse these guns perform. Optimal range is 10 kilometers. That's what I've noticed. To do significant damage to battleships, cruisers. Basically saying you want to be within secondary range. So 9.5 to 10 kilometers. That's the sweet spot for this ship. Anything beyond that, you might be able to squeeze maybe 11 kilometers out. But the reason there's a drag coefficient is that once you hit that 10 kilometers, the armor penetration just drops significantly. And not like just like 30 millimeters, more like 60 to 80 per kilometer. It drops significantly. So you want to be within secondary range in the ship. Now, full maxed secondaries have a 2.1 base reload, 9.5 kilometer range, 1800 max damage, 5% to fire, 21 armor pen, and a 792 velocity. That doesn't sound like a lot. But again, in LittleWhiteMouse's review, and I'll put a link to OverlordBou and LittleWhiteMouse's in the description below, so you can listen to those if you haven't watched the reviews yet. But what LittleWhiteMouse said is that when you do the math, these secondaries have a higher broadside, just barely, by me 40 to 30 shells. They're better than Massachusetts. And after watching and playing this ship, I can agree with it. These secondaries have more punching power than Massachusetts. She doesn't have the armor as Massachusetts, so she can't tank and do a lot that Massachusetts can do, or has that extra 1.5 kilometer range, but they punch really fast. And you'll see that in the replay. Airstrike wise, 2 flights, one PBY in each flight, 1 bomb, max damage 3,400, 8 kilometer range, average, not the greatest. AA wise, now she gets 58 single mount or Lycan machine guns, 1 dual mount or Lycan. Then she gets 4 quad mount, or 1 quad mount or Lycan machine gun. I don't know why there's a quad mount in there. But then you see that she gets outfitted with 10 quad mount Bofors guns. Anyone that's ever seen a Bofors gun in person knows that these things are massive. That's a lot of short range AA. And then she gets the 16 dual mount, 5-inch guns on the side. So this thing is bristling with AA. And you'll get to see that in the second replay. If you want to see her more perform with the secondaries and the guns, first replay, AA and secondaries, second replay. Now, continuous damage, 331. When we look at the short range AA, 445, mid-range, 263, and then the long range has 140. The range isn't that bad at 5.8. If any carrier gets in with it, if a tier 6 gets within range of this, they're gone. Tier 8, yeah, they can still strike you, but if you maximize AA and protecting your AA, you can fend them off for quite a while. Damage from the HE, from the shell explosion is 1,400. So she's a pretty good AA boat. I really did enjoy the ship. I took it on Hermes and Cherry Blossom. It did significantly well against the planes. I did not have to worry about the planes. And I'm pioneering a new strategy on Hermes using this ship. It'll take some time to get you eventually, but once I can get another West Virginia for cap, we're going to be pulling some wacky stuff with this ship. So stay tuned for that. Maneuverability. this is where she gets really rough. Like, you know, Massey does about 28, 30 with Brisk. With speed flag, minimum speed is 22.1 knots. And a 670 meter turning circle. LittleWhiteMouse has said that this has probably been bugged, the 670, so that might get changed. We don't know. I haven't seen anything on the dev blogs or anything clarifying that. 14.8 rudder shift, 15-second rudder shift. You can change that if you want to mount the rudder module to get that down further, or you can put it into survivability. Personally, I would recommend survivability. But there is some discrepancies in the turning circle, of course. And with Brisk on, this thing does about 24 knots. It's not bad, but it's not great. Concealment, 14 kilometers. It's not the best. But she is a damn good op ship. I'll give you that, Mario. A damn good operation ship. Now, for the equipment, again, like I said, you want to maximize keeping those AA alive. So, Auxiliary Armaments 1, Damage Control Mod 1, Secondaries Mod 1, and then you can either go steering gears for the rudder or damage control. Personally, I went damage control so I can stay alive longer. And since we are running flags, you know, the cooldown with flags is 37 seconds minimum. And without the skills, you get 5 charges and you heal for 354 with a cooldown of 31 seconds minimum. AA wise, with the AA flag on there, you can put the AA flag on there if you want. It's not a huge difference. You don't need the AA flag in all honesty. You just need these 4 flags. But defensive AA, you get 4 charges. And you could take spotter plane or fighter, but honestly, if you plan on taking this thing in the randoms, spotter plane easily, without a doubt. Then for flags, if you want to use flags, you don't have to, but it would be recommended, is the Mikey Yankee Delta, or Mikey Yankee Sock 6, Sierra Mike, November Foxtrot, and India Delta for health. Again, those would be my 4 main ones I'd use. You could probably take India Yankee and November Echo for the AA. But other than that, these are pretty much the main flags you need. Now for exterior wise, this is what if you weren't able to get her with the Independence Day camo, this is what she'll look like when you buy her. Still a very beautiful ship. And then if you have the alternative camo, well, that's the alternative camo. There's not much difference. And then if you did get the Risen from the Ashes, which I think is highly symbolic for the ship, because, well, she did rise from the ashes of Pearl Harbor, get modernized, and then take part in the last battleship action of World War II. Was this camo, which I think was really nice. And then you just see how it kind of glistens and kind of glows and some. It's a very elegant camo. And I really do like this camo. I think it's very fitting for the ship. Now for the build, again, I always use my Massachusetts captain for any secondary build. So, gun feeder, emergency repair specialist, Brisk, grease the gears, long range secondary battery, manual secondaries, adrenaline rush, and then advanced emergency repair expert. I'll have one more point. After that, I could either go probably preventative maintenance or demolition expert. But that is practically a West Virginia 44 build. I cannot stress that you can't deviate from this build. But again, if you have a Massachusetts, you have a Georgia secondary build, that, and just respec it, you can make this build work for all three of them. It works. There is literally no reason not to have this build. You've seen the Georgia review, you've seen Massey Murder Carnage, and you're going to see the West Virginia replay. Same build for all three ships. It works. But let's get into the replay so you guys can see how this ship works. Hello, and welcome back, my loyal subscribers. Today we've got West Virginia review part 1. Now, I decided to do West Virginia in 2 reviews because I felt like that would best represent the ship. For the team, we've got Ranger, Captain of Kansas, me in the West Virginia, Erie and New Orleans, Graf's Bay, and London. So it's a tough match. 2 tier 7s, 2 tier 8s, and 3 tier 6s. So it's gonna be hard. And we have the beautiful Risen from the Ashes camel on there. It's very fitting for this ship. Now, this one, I also wanted to do 2 because one, I wanted to do one with flags, one without flags. The first one is the one with flags. So I can get so we can have a comparison of how she works with and without flags.
Stand by for action. Enemy approaching from the north. Enemy detected.
Enemy force detected.
That's the enemy vanguard. Destroy them.
And usually you would think, okay, most battleships will go into the smoke. I'm too damn slow. So I've just got to go straight in. I got 9.5 secondaries, and I'm just rushing in. Remember, these things have ridiculous DPM. Like, we're talking in the long run, they're more powerful than Massey's on a broadside. If you want the exact number, I recommend checking out LittleWhiteMouse's review. Now, these shells also have a drag coefficient, like we mentioned. And so, at short distance, they're not as noticeable, but at the long distances, you start to see that the penetration drops significantly. And you will see that happen in this replay. Close range, this ship is really impressive. Long range, the shells become really weak. Except right there, we get around 20k to that one. And the secondary is just going off. Like, we're just peppering these guys.
Enemy ships detected in the northwest.
The hero pops up, and we put our secondaries on him, and you're just going to see his health just start getting whittled down by the secondaries.
Enemy destroyer blown up.
The ship is on fire.
The Akatsuki pops up. We're doing around per salvo 10,000 or 11,000. So we're doing a significant amount of damage to him. We have lost like half our health. Let's be honest. We lost half our health. It's not the end of the game for us. Definitely not the end of the game. This ship is meant to be a brawler. To go in, tank damage, and then retreat and heal some of it back. That's why she gets fast stacking heals.
Problem solved, sir.
You just have to weigh the benefits of going in at the right time and escaping at the right time. That's literally the main difference. See, we have basically... Next charge, we'll have like almost half our health back.
Attention! This is Task Force Commander. I'm up against huge enemy forces. Requesting support.
Attention. Transport ships detected. Destroy the escorting ships. Roger.
We're at
Aircraft proceeding to
56,000.
assist. Will arrive in 5 minutes.
Put our secondaries on the Ioba. Salvo goes at 8,000, but then our secondaries start slowly whittling them down. It's just a little bit of damage, but it all adds up continuously. And with the amount of reload, plus the adrenaline rush, it adds up.
The ship is on fire. We've destroyed an enemy cruiser.
Now we pick up that cruiser.
Problem solved, sir.
And we went up around 30,000, 15k on that with full penetration. And the ground space is out there, so we want to kind of support him. And we just let our secondaries keep doing their work. We pick up the Mayoko on fire. We're at 3 kills, 111,000. You just see how fast the damage goes up with secondaries. Now the Mayoko is back in our range, and he's just going to get peppered, AP'd, and you're just going to see the damage slowly go back up. This ship is meant to get in close. The reason I'm not shooting the Mayoko is that one of my secondaries to shoot him. And I can use my guns on the other full health target. This kind of how you want to do it. Weaker target secondaries, then switch your guns with the big gun. Then shoot the full health ones with the big guns. That was 13,000. And we're still moving in because Graf Spade doesn't have much health. He's going to go down. So we wanted to get into a position where we can hopefully try to keep him alive, but odds are he's going to go down. Yep, he goes down. We get 9,000. Our secondaries are just going to whittle it down.
Enemy
151,000.
cruiser foundered.
And we do, well, 17,000 plus with that. You do notice that the shells do get kind of wonky. They don't, again, you do see that slight stigma coming in. She doesn't have the stigma of Colorado, which is like 2.1, 2.0. West Virginia has like 1.8. So, you do see it. It's at this point that I'm like, you know what, Cap? We're both half health. Let's just go for broke. We're gonna gamble, and we're gonna go for the battleship.
Clarifying the order.
80% of the time, you know, we will not go for the battleships if we're this low. But this time, I'm in a Brawling ship. He has the big guns. We're gonna go for broke. But we're gonna go for the battleships. So we're talking 2 half health, big ass slow battleships going for these battleships. So it's not, and at this range, you know, the AP penetration on these shells is weak and meager. It is weak. At 10 kilometers is probably where it starts to get to the worst. Again, long range duels are not recommended in this ship. If you want to see the exact numbers, look at LittleWhiteMouse's review. Again, broadside battleship. The dispersion's not bad, but the pin on the shells is not the best. Only like 5,000. So out of, well, 8 shells, only 3 hit. And the damage was mediocre.
Enemy battleship sighted.
Roger.
Cap fires his 12-gun salvo. And I'm going off this way because I want to help pick up the shores. Cap gets a very beautiful strike on it, and we just get, you know, piecemeal damage. I can't drive straight through these battleships, which wastes time, the Nagatos, because I have to pick up the shores, because I know he's going to go down at some point. So I got to get close enough to protect him. Again, long-range duels are not this ship's friend. As you can see from the Myokus and the cruisers, we were within 10 kilometers, so we were doing really good damage. But when we start getting beyond that, that's when it starts to really hurt. So basically, you want to be within secondary range for these guns to really work. That's just the gist of it. Irian picks up that cruiser, or the battleship, so now it's me and Cap both working on these battleships. That time we get a good salvo. Beautiful salvo. Again, you know, some of it's dispersion, some of it is penetration, so it really depends. Again, Shore's almost dead, so I gotta pick him up. But when we get within that 13-kilometer range, the damage actually starts to go up. The closer you get, the more lethal this ship gets. The further away you get, the worse it gets. Again, you see we take just a few shells and we get slapped. Like, really slapped hard.
Enemy cruiser detected.
Like, if I had been able to go straight for these ships, it might have made a slight difference. We do pick up that kill.
Enemy battleship found.
And now we're literally within secondary range now. And the transports are almost there. And now the secondaries are just going off. Like, you just see how the DPM on this thing is ridiculous. That time we pick it up. See, I don't really know what happened. How? That doesn't make no sense.
Nice. That went well.
Could have been almost a 5-star, but the team just couldn't protect those transports at the last minute. But we did our job.
Yes, we did. Utter annihilation. That is what we're here for. I got a Wings of Freedom container. Let's see what kind of garbage I get out of this. Yay! Well, okay, XP boosters. I'll take that.
Yeah, the secondaries hit 229 times, but fired almost 1,000 shells.
Oh my god. Basically a tier 7 mass.
Basically.
So...
Hello, and welcome back to part 2 of West Virginia 44. Again, we're on Cherry Blossom, beautiful match for the ship. Shikoku, Bismarck, West Virginia, Prince Heinrich, New Orleans, Almonte Cochra, and Agade. Now this also illustrates a key point that positioning, and it doesn't matter if you start out with 0 damage and do terrible in a match. Because you can have 0 damage or very little damage and still come out on top.
force detected.
Again, this one has no flags, so we're running at stock everything, basically, without any enhancements. No increased damage control, no increased AA. This is literally just the ship itself, without any enhancements. Again, it was irritating because all those DDs are within my secondary range. But, you know, they weren't detected, so I couldn't get damage. We do pick up that DD, so we're at 4,000.
Destroyer founder.
Then we finally decide to shoot 2,000 plus secondary damage.
Anti-aircraft gun crews are on full alert.
Don't ask me why I did that. That was just a fat finger. Fortunately, you get 4 charges of each. We do pick up that DD, so we pick about 9,000 in
Enemy
just DD
destroyer
damage,
sunk.
which helps a little bit. But that's going to be literally the majority of our damage for literally to the bay. And I will put a timestamp in the bay for when the replay actually starts. And I take a blind shot thinking, okay, maybe we'll get lucky.
Anti-aircraft gun crews
Because
are
people
on
can pull
normal
this off.
alert.
Maybe you get lucky, maybe not. You see that the dispersion is just way all over the place. I never have been able to pull off a blind shot. Again, you see Cap does, well, I'm doing 23 knots. Cap probably does almost 30 knots. All the cruisers probably do around 30 knots. This is literally the only damage I'm going to get for a while, or they're on these cruisers. I take a appropriate lead, and I shoot. Again, you see the dispersion, just beautiful.
Spotter returning to ship.
20,000. Cap, since Cap is closer, his shells have shorter travel, plus his secondaries are actually in with the range. So, it does sting. If I had a Massey, I'd be shooting these things. I underlead that target really badly. I should have aimed where I thought I aimed. Cap gets a beautiful 30k strike, and once he picks that up, I'm no damage. I did 30k, and that's literally the gist of my damage. For now. So it's literally just me sailing in a straight line. But you can look at the regiments. The team is... I don't really know what's going on with our team. All I knew when I was going into this was that the New Orleans and the Bismarck were both on my blacklist. So I had an idea of what I was going into. I hoped it wouldn't be this bad, but I don't really understand what was taking the Bismarck too long to get in there. Like, he's faster than I am. Considerably more faster than I am. I don't get, what was he doing? But you see, I'm literally steaming right between those two islands, because that's my goal, is to get to those islands. But I was thinking to Cap, telling Cap, I think we're going to lose this. I've never seen the regiments get that low. It is, like, scary. Mayoko's still alive. There's still 3 DDs out there that are focusing down the airfield. The 9th Regiment always goes down first, but that 3rd Regiment is steadily losing health. Yeah, there's 4 DDs and the cruiser down there. All of which are shooting either the Cochrane or the airfield. Or regiment. Sorry, regiment. But it is going down. He takes out 2 DDs, thankfully. And then they stop fire at the regiment. And we pick it up. Again, the health is still dropping, but we basically still managed to win. That was scary. That would have been just horrendous. Again, I'm full health. I literally haven't done anything for a while. I'm just steaming in a straight direction. Fubuki picks up the Cochrane. Again, there's still the New Orleans and the Bismarck. They're just kind of doing, well, whatever. Which makes no sense to me at all. But I've done this in the Massachusetts, so I know exactly where I want to go. And I want to test out the AA in this ship. This is one of the main selling points. Alright. Again, I turn in because the torps may drop. Put my secondaries on the DD. And I'm not pumping my damage, my priority, or everything until they are literally within close enough, or when they start to really focus. And you just start to see the aircraft start to plummet.
Torpedoes to port.
Shot out on the Ayoko. Double Citadel, 30,000.
Spotter airborne. Problem solved, sir.
And I turn out because one, yeah, there is DDs there. Put my secondaries on it.
The ship is on fire.
The adrenaline rush and everything starts to kick in. And I slam the ship back and there's a back this big turd up.
Enemy destroyer foundered.
Torps coming. I knew torps would be dropped, so I was like, we gotta go in the river. We get a nice salvo on the DDs over there, and our secondaries are just whittling them down at this point. But the double fires are hurting.
Torpedoes to port. Anti-aircraft gun crews are on full alert.
I make the decision to pop it now because I can survive. Be another 20k strike on the Mogami. And I have to keep backing up. I need to get that people off. We can pick up the Akatsuki
Enemy destroyer
and the
blown
Shira.
up. We've sunk an enemy destroyer.
Problem solved, sir. Anti-aircraft gun crews are on normal alert.
Cap comes in now. He's starting to help me now. Gets a beautiful strike on the Yohagi. I shoot the Mogami, Cap picks it up. It's unfortunate. He picks up natural selection. So it's not looking good for me. Cap's at 8 kills. I'm at 5. But my health is finally regenerating back to normal now, where I can actually start to push. Salvo win. 15,000 plus the secondaries. And Forgotten Void said in one of his videos that playing kills don't matter. To hell they don't. Playing kills matter. It depends on how many you get. If you're cracking 30 playing kills, maybe even 20, then it starts to add up. But playing kills still matter. You just have to get them in a decent quantity. And that's a decent quantity. 49 playing kills.
The ship is on fire!
And at this range, well, the DD's screwed. The secondaries will just melt him.
Enemy destroyer blown up.
But I mean, look at our Bismarck. I don't really know what the Bismarck's doing. And the New Orleans is finally moving in. That shot was just terrible. Terrible. Secondaries pick up that Ayoba. I get natural selection also. We're at 51 plane kills. So you can't tell me that plane kills don't matter. And I just set my secondaries on the AA batteries because it's like, well, you might as well blow them up while you're here, right? The armor-piercing shells plus the secondaries just delete the Shiriatsu. We crossed 200,000. We're at 9 kills, 51 plane kills. Cap and I both have a natural selection and a battleship. I mean, just looking at the team score, we carried this team. There's no doubt that the enemy team, or our team, could have made the port run without us. There's no doubt. And again, you will get detected before the ships spawn.
Battle ends in 5 minutes.
DD spawns, secondaries on it. Shots out. And before they're even able to shoot
We've
or move,
sunk an enemy destroyer.
secondaries just deleted. And it's literally at this point that we're just waiting to see if anything more spawns. But it literally shows that you can do absolutely nothing when you're slow ass as hell. But if you know the map, you know the ops, you know what's going to happen, position your ship in a way that allows you to take advantage of it. It's not about what happens in the early maps, it's what happens later in the maps that matters. And you'll see that in the end score. 4 stars, not bad.
Oh my god. 19 kills.
Yeah, that's a hard carry. But the 51 plane kills.
I'd say her AA is decent.
Considering that I literally did nothing until the entire last half of the match.
How much damage?
It was quite a bit.
175 was mine.
So the final damage is actually pretty decent
Oh
at
shit!
211.
I had red boosters on this thing. Why? God, now I only have 1 left. Fuck. Well, now I have 41,000.